financing has to come from the private sector. Now, one of our major challenges in Zimbabwe is that we have a challenge with financing of agriculture. So we as government have to provide an enabling environment for the private sector to come in and take over the financing of the agricultural economy at large. So if we're saying we're moving away from contracting, now we're actually going backwards. What we need to do is we need to promote more contracting. The yields that must come are to do with productivity and production. So what we say is the cost of production, the cost of producing a crop is not relative to the input that person's given. And why I'm saying that is because you can't say, for example, that windmills fertilizer is better than FSG's fertilizer and it'll give you a higher yield. Fertilizer is fertilizer. So what we're saying is that on a normal package, whether it's coming from a contractor through the FCCA, whether it's a farmer buying himself, or whether it's a presidential input program, what we provide under PIP is a basic minimum package to the farmer. And what we expect from the Ministry of Agriculture, regardless of whether it's PIP, whether it's self-financed, whether it's FCCA, or whether it's NIAPS, what we expect is a certain tonnage. So for us to say that your tonnage, your yield is going to change depending on the program, that's not correct, because a small-scale farmer can also yield as much as a commercial farmer if good agronomic practices are followed. So essentially, when contractors come, they will gauge the cost of the input, and they will say the cost of the input for 1 hectare I've given you is X amount, and that X amount divided by the yield, expected yield, will give you a certain price. So let's say, for example, if just for argument's sake, if we're saying a hectare costs 10,000, and we're dividing that by $2,000. That'll give us an average yield of five tons per hectare. So everything is relative to production, depending on agroecological regions, depending if someone has irrigation or he doesn't have irrigation. But in essence, some form of target has to be given. On average, right now, what we are seeing from what's being harvested in our wheat production, for example, we are seeing in excess of 4 metric tons per hectare. So when we give a target to say you must produce 4.5 tons, it's because the national average is at that, and it would have been based on an economic break-even figure. Farming is a business. So our farmers need to know what their break-even figure is, because if the break-even figure is 3 tons per hectare, for example, the example you used, and the farmer is only producing 1.5 tons, that means something is going wrong. And the farmer needs to look and go back to the drawing board and say, what did I do wrong? Or is it a climatic issue? Did I plant late? Did I plant too early? Did I plant wrong? And did I not put enough fertilizer? And so on and so forth. So farming, it's a business, and all aspects of it must be looked at. So we cannot say that we don't want farmers to be contracted. No, we want the contracting to take the center stage of the agricultural production.